Thanks for joining the Prosperous Sellers podcast today. We've got a special guest, Norm Farrar. Excited to have you, Norm.
I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about Norm? You know, what is it you do? What are the things you got going on right now?
So outside of being a digital fossil, I've been around a long time. What I think the best thing is I've been a mutrepreneur. I've had a lot of different experiences in business, like from fulfillment to my own screening, embroidering facilities into promotional marketing. But towards the end, our family ended up buying a couple of factories out in Taiwan and doing private label for a lot of different brands out in the space about 25 years ago. So before anybody was doing anything, we were already in China and already in Taiwan is where we bought the two factories. So then we ended up coming back and starting a fulfillment company and then starting private label packaging company. And one thing led to another, ended up at an Amazon. It was an ASM, so amazing selling machine, raw session. And I bought into it. And thank God I did, because it was the best thing that's ever happened. And then one thing I did, which a lot of others didn't do, is I went to some of these higher end events. And the first one I did was in Mallorca, followed by the Illuminati, which is now Helium 10's Elite, and spent a lot of money. But I met so many people at such a high level. We're still great friends today. That was 2017. And I've partnered up with a ton of them. So that's how I really got my start into Amazon, just my experience and then going, wow, this could be cool, doing a shift and moving into the space.
Awesome. Yeah, you're iconic these days. So obviously you did a good job. So
thanks. It's the beard. That's it. It's just the beard.
Love it. So I know you do a tremendous amount of branding. Like, what are the things that, if you're building a brand, whether it's on Amazon or not, hopefully our audience is not thinking about themselves as an Amazon seller, but as a brand that has to really build up their brand across multiple channels. What are some of the things that you think they really should focus on? How do they create value? How do they create a following, a community, things like that?
Well, you know, one of the things is, before you think about a brand at all, you've got to really think where you're going with it. So it might be, I use this knife company that we were working with, and they were simply a Me Too knife company, selling right at the bottom with everybody else and making pennies. It was all product cannibalization. And I took a look at it and where are you going with this? And could you go wide? What are the other products that you could brand with your product? Do you have any expectations with this? Or are you just planning to be an Amazon seller selling this Me Too product? And excuse me for a sec, I got a frog in my throat. And of course, no frogs in my throat until I start talking on the podcast. But so one of the things I noticed was, and this has to do with brand, is the packaging. And when I went to the listing, I saw this okay knife, this crappy packaging. And when people got it, that was the last time they're ever going to get an order. So I said, look, let me do something with this. First of all, let's create the brand. Let's create a logo, a really cool logo that means something. We got a tagline, and then let's create a series. So we've got the regular series, and then we've got the premium series, the elites. But in that premium, or in the regular series, we took a knife that was at $16 that landed. He was selling it at $49. So it was average. If he was doing anything under, it really wouldn't fit into the Amazon model. But he was selling it at $49. So he was making a profit. And I said, look, we can make a few easy changes to this. We'll change the packaging from a clamshell, which is really ugly, to this almost like an Apple iPhone box, where you took that out and then there was an inner packaging. Then when you took that out, it was a hard, or like a hard cardboard, a rigid cardboard with a magnetic clasp, and you popped it open, and then there was a message that was embossed, and you didn't see the knife. The knife was unveiled. You had to lift up
Mm.
this foam, and it was laser cut into the EVA foam, and then we put a wax tip on it just to, make sure it looks cool. But what we
Mm.
did a little bit different is we took and we acid etched the knife and the rivets holding the three together. We took one of them and we created a custom rivet with its logo on it, packaged it up, put it on Amazon, and it went from we tested this at $10 increments, but it went from $49 to $124. And then we backed it down. So it's on Amazon right now between 99 and 124.
Awesome.
So then same thing, went and said, same $16 knife, went to the manufacturer. So you got anything different? Something that we could sell at a higher rate, same price. They just hammered the knife. So it looked like it was hammered. We put it in a wooden box instead of a rigid cardboard. Those started selling at $224. So the
Mm.
last thing, now this is taking care of the artist original work, the expensive stuff. How do you create the prints? So we went out and we got a $3 knife, and everybody else was at $19 to $24. With the packaging, we took this $3 knife and we started selling it at $39 to $49. So we did the same thing, but it was at a whole other affordable level. And
Mm.
one of the things that you do when you're building out this community is you have 3 tiers. Whenever you go onto Amazon, you can take a look at 3 tiers of pricing. Where do the majority fall in the bottom? The cannibals, usually Chinese sellers that are just getting onto Amazon, and they don't care if they have a penny or a dime, they'll never get $1. They're just going bottom line, like really cheap. And you can see that in the packaging. So, and I can give you an example. Dead Sea Mud runs from $7 to what was it? $7 to $14 was the bottom line cheap. Then there's a couple of increments and went up to the second tier. Second tier goes from $24 to $44, and then which is better pricing. This is the average seller. Then a couple of other price points. Other people come up in between because they don't know about these 3 tiers, and then they come up to that third level, which is the high level, which this Dead Sea Mud goes from $75 to $95. The difference is the bottom are 8-ounce to 16-ounce. The top are 3 to 8-ounce, 3 to 0.5 to 8-ounce. So the people that are packaging just a little bit better, those are the people that are getting these higher end, now not as much traffic, but a ton more profit. So we try
Yeah.
to look at that, and then building the
Mm.
community, that is very important. So how do you get that community? It starts off with that QR code, driving them over to a page where you're doing something with them, either extending a code. It could be like the knife. We went to chefs around the world and we got recipes. And in return for the recipes, we sent them knives. We went to culinary schools, got them to do all sorts of social posting for us, but we got recipes. We put together 2 cookbooks. So when they registered, they got a lifetime warranty, like 100% lifetime warranty on the knife. And they got these 2 cookbooks. Then what
Mhm.
we did to keep in front of their face 52 weeks out of the year, we created these food plans. So they're meal plans, and we showed them exactly what the recipe is, how much to buy, and what this allowed us to do was keep in front of the company. And as
Mm.
we were, or
Love it.
the
Yeah.
customer, and then as we were
Mm.
launching these 11 other knives over a few years, we had these people that we could market to at pretty
Yeah.
much no discount. They loved the knife. And so that's what we've been doing over the last 4 or 5 years with this company. And it's worked out really well. And like, I got to give them kudos because they were saying, we could do it. A lot of people, you must find this too, that you go and you talk to a company, and after you talk to them or consult or coach them, they're shaking their head and
Mhm.
waving basically and saying, I hear what you're saying, but, and they go back to their old ways.
Exactly. It's so frustrating because all good things require hard work and require change and require evolution. And you're hiring an expert to give you advice on how to grow a business, and you'd be surprised how many people don't necessarily want to listen. And even if it's a great idea, even if it's got a roadmap for how is this going to be successful, if it's outside of comfort zone, if it's going to take more work or more expense than what they have an appetite for, a lot of times it just gets abandoned, and it's frustrating.
Yeah,
You mentioned a couple things I really like. Is one, you took up price points. There's a race to the bottom in so
exactly.
many categories. You can't win against these factories selling direct. Why not showcase in an Amazon-esque way? I'm not an Amazon-esque, an Apple-esque way, how a product has value beyond the physical product. Like, how do you make it about emotion and feeling and the perception and quality and differentiation and so forth? I recall one situation where a U.S. made tool manufacturer came to us and said, we sell to all the big names, AutoZone, Pep Boys, like Advanced Auto Parts, all these companies, and we make a product, but we want to do it under our own brand. And what should we do? We could do anything, basically. And we looked at some options and said, hey, this product is sold by a Chinese brand. It dominates in the category at $23, but you guys have a product that I think is going to be much better perceived, but we have to nail it. We have to do everything right. So we guided them around how to create the best images, the videos, showcase why it was, a premium quality product made in the USA and built to last. And we're able to go to market on that item at $49.99 and sell through $50,000 the first month, and then move it up to $69.99. And it became a huge success at almost three times, the price of the competitive product. That is a good example of where there are certain products where customers they're not looking for cheap. They're looking for good quality, something that's going to sit in their garage tool chest and last forever. And they don't want to have to worry about it letting them down. They're willing to spend more, but you can't just ship a product like that in a plain brown box with some poor experience and no branding elements, no community elements. You've got to make it all, complete and comprehensive. So I loved how you took that and then took it up to the next level. How are you going to build a relationship with those customers and actually get them to have a reason to engage with you outside of Amazon? Now you're looking at leveraging Amazon as a new customer acquisition channel that becomes one important element of future growth for the brand, but you're actually nurturing that customer off of Amazon as well. So the whole register your extended warranty, I think that's beautiful. Getting them to have like engaging content that they want to be, they want to be in communication with the brand. Those things are so pivotal for a successful brand versus an average brand selling on Amazon.
Yeah, and the other thing we were able to do with this, because a lot of the customers were coming in and giving us their email, giving us their phone numbers, and with that, what we were trying to do is build a profile on each customer, what they like, what they didn't like.
Yeah.
Like, say it was a pet company, large dog, small dog, like right down to at the end, getting to even know the dog's name. So if we had that information, we could
Wow, that's
put
great.
that into an email or into a newsletter. But one of the most important things that we did, and we do with any brand, is we put it onto Google Business Profile. And with Google Business Profile, once you set it up, if you spend 10 minutes a day, all of a sudden you'll get all these clickless searches. Like for that knife, we were doing all sorts of articles. We'd always end with a recipe, and then we'd use schema and we'd have it formatted properly for recipes or whatever we were doing. But what ended up happening, if we were talking about this incredible Thanksgiving dinner that was made, and this is the recipe, and this is how you carve a turkey, the proper ways to carve a turkey, it would say, oh, well, this is a carving knife, and I'm not even paying to get found as a carving knife, but now I'm in the top positions for a carving knife, the sushi knife, whatever type of knife, and it's picking up all these clickless searches because I'm adding content. They'll reward you for adding this content. And the other thing that a lot of people don't realize is that when you're asking people to upload images, so we might have a contest, show us, you with and this is actually what we've done, create a contest with just providing user-generated content, tag us, and we'll run a contest and they can win something. Well, what ends up happening, this increases your local SEO. So if I've only sending out and I have my Google business profile in Buffalo, New York, it'll only show that you're in Buffalo, New York. But if you've got people in Minnesota, California, Mexico, Canada posing, now you're getting juice showing that, hey, this product's available all over the nation. We better start promoting this. And with Google Business Profile, it also allows you, I don't know if you've seen this, but it allows you to take your Amazon, a picture of, this for Amazon. It's just an adapter. So for Amazon, I put it up there with the link to my listing, to my store, to my Walmart, to my Shopify. And all of a sudden they become shoppable links, instantly indexed on Google. And when you're searching something, now you can see it, now you'll buy it. And you're wondering, how did that get up there? Well, it's from your Google Business Profile.
Are you using a brand referral link when you do that?
You can. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Like you can put a brand referral link into any of the items that you're promoting. Now, the biggest thing is if you're on a mobile phone, if you're the first keyword, so the first thing you're trying to do is rank. You could rank long tail. You could do whatever you're trying to do. Try to rank. And when you are the number one in search, it will take you anywhere from 3 to 7 swipes before you get to your first competitor. Just think about that. 7 swipes. It's all you. So it talks about you. It talks about where you're located. It talks about your brand, the category you're in, the reviews you're in, all the photos. And now there you go. And the same thing happens on desktop, but most people are familiar with that. It's over on the right-hand side, and you can see everything on that right-hand side. And that's a great way to start building a community. So, and that's for a brand. Any brand can do it. In case any of your listeners are saying, oh, no, you can't do it. It's for local SEO. You have to have bricks and mortar. Well, try signing up, because Google's made it very clear that there's 3 ways that you can sign up. And one is for an online store. The other is a service industry. And guess what? The other one's a brand, an online brand. So they've answered the question.
Awesome. I love that. I think that, Google's been the place where customers used to go shopping. And now it's still, even with AI and stuff, it's still where the majority of people go and search for things. Why not take advantage of all of that exposure to your audience?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's free, so you don't pay anything, and you can do it yourself. And you do $10 or 10 minutes a day just uploading new content. That works. And you can also put the link to any new content in your signature file in your Gmail, and Google realizes that it's there, and it'll promote it. It'll help weight it a little bit higher. Oh, and one other thing. So under update, so there's an area that you update. There's 3 categories there. The one is post. You can post directly from there, like you would a Facebook or any one of the social media, or you could go to your social media And as long as you put your anchor text, which is wherever you want the main source of the juice to go to. So maybe it's your Shopify store or your Amazon store or your Amazon listing. That link, you're going to be asked, what is your website? You put that in there. You use that and you put it into each one of your posts that you're doing over a day or a week or a year. Every time you do it, it automatically gets indexed by Google through that, and it'll index you through their Google business profile. Then the second one is you can have promos and offers. So you could do a pre-Black Friday sale or pre-Prime Day sale. And the third category under update is really cool. Nobody's using this. It's called events. Well, guess what? Black Friday, Thanksgiving, or events.
Yeah.
And you could just say that you're having an event. And here's a little, okay, this is a nugget. If anybody's listening, write this one down. If you decide that you're going to do Google Business Profile, you're going to have the default, the times that you're open, 9 to 5. It's going to be default, and it's going to be closed on Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
So I would think, I don't have any stats on this, but I would think like 95, 96, 97% don't change those numbers unless they're bricks and mortar. Well, I learned this by fluke. I was looking for a restaurant. I knew it was open, but it showed closed on a holiday. And I did some research. I went, holy crap, I found something here. If you show in the defaults, it'll say special holidays. If you show that you're open on Thanksgiving, if you're open on Prime Day, if you're open on all these different holidays, you'll get promoted way higher and first above anybody who has the default, because they're going to show that they're closed.
Yeah.
So anybody in the evening that's looking for knives, and they're going to somebody that's got the default, and we're showing that we're continuing to be open, or on Thanksgiving or whenever the holiday is, guess who's going to get the ranking?
It reminds me of a tactic that we often teach our clients that's on Amazon is when you have a time period, a cutoff time, and let's say that cutoff time is 2 p.m. for same day shipping before it falls into the next day, and you change it to 4 p.m. for that 2-hour window. If all of your competitors haven't adjusted to say we can ship later in the day during that period of time, your available delivery time is going to be, at an advantage, and you win in that case. So you're basically saying, hey, your competitors they're not even catching on to this. They're being disadvantaged. You can basically set it up the right way, and then have a lot less competition for those highly relevant searches during that time.
Yeah,
Awesome.
very, very similar. Now I'm going to have a drink before I get this frog back in my throat.
No, love the Google Business Profile side of things. That's something that I think most people are just not doing, and I love how you're thinking about how to leverage that and other types of external traffic. So what else should they be doing to drive external traffic? We know the algorithm favors external traffic. We know that influencers are gaining popularity. What are your thoughts around all the different levers they should be, looking at?
Well, this is kind of going back to brand and brand consistency, but brand authority. So you as a seller there's always 3 things that you can do. Have your profile, have a page, have a group. And you want to be an authority in all of those. So you want to be an authority for you. You want to be an authority for your brand and authority for your company. How do you do that? There's something, and if you check out my name, it's just Norm Farrar, or you could say Norman Farrar. You'll see that I come up a little bit different in the searches. You'll see my picture with autofill in Google. This has to be done in Google. And then what it'll do is it'll show you all these pictures. It'll show an about me. It'll show all these pages. It used to be 400,000 mentions or spots when you type me in. And now I've got 4.4 million. And how did I do that? I started out. I was at a conference. I listened to Dennis Yu, and he was talking about this thing called Google Knowledge Panel. Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't.
So Google Knowledge Panel is something that you have to Google will manually check to see if you're an authority in something. If you're a public figure or if you're an owner and you can prove it, they'll give you, it's like the blue check mark in Facebook. It's
Mm.
you're an authority. So from that, you can go and you can start building out the Google Knowledge Graph. So I'm not a big fan of social media. I do it because I'm there. I'm always the last to post 2 weeks after an event. I was in Iceland. I think I
Yeah,
just did my
yeah.
first post a week afterwards. Everybody else is doing it real
Like
time.
real
I'm not
time.
good with this unless it's my son. He'll come take some pictures and put them up. But what I didn't realize, I have to start doing that because I have the podcast that has a bunch of episodes. And if I can take a picture with somebody that's on my episode, so if it's just once, it could be a common occurrence. If you're traveling around the world and going to all these events, it could be a backyard party, but you're taking pictures of people. Now you're associating with somebody that was on your podcast that shows that you are connected to them. And now you start to grow through their followers and it becomes a spider web. So if anybody's interested, it's Google Knowledge Panel. Very few people are doing this. There's only a handful. It's been out there forever. And also Google Knowledge Graph. And just with Google Knowledge Graph, you start with yourself. You start with your profile. Then you have a profile for your brand and then one for your company. And you start connecting your YouTube channel for you, your brand, your company, your Twitter or X, the same thing. So each of these has 3 components. And all
Mm.
of a sudden you're seeing this massive amount of response. So
Wow.
it's a lot more work, but if you can do it or even get a VA to do it, it works out. You'll get a lot more. And what this allows me to do is when somebody's looking for certain things, well, I'm popping up first because
Yeah.
I have 400,000 or a million different references to these keywords.
It's
So
just like Amazon, it's looking at high, like they're not looking at volume, they're looking at relevancy, right?
right.
So now all of a sudden Google paints this picture that customer or someone searches for a particular thing, norms associated with that thing in such a meaningful way. This must be the dots we want to connect. So you're basically helping do what it already wants to do. You're just making it easier by
You're just
painting it.
giving them the content. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now that goes like one step further. When you do a blog article or create a blog article,
Mhm.
you can create, it's so easy nowadays, but create a video. So it's text to video, or you could just go right in ChatGPT and get a little snippet or image and put it into these blog articles. But your blog articles, if you do them properly, and you continually grow them, like I do it every quarter, I'll put a paragraph in, another paragraph in, an image in. The Google will come back and crawl you again over and over and over. And in
You got to keep
fact,
it fresh.
you got to keep it fresh. Yeah.
Got it. Got
Yeah.
it.
So, but going back to community, I find that's a huge part. So people will see you and they'll trust you and you become the authority. But
Mhm.
as for community, so Kevin King and I, we have a company together. One of the silos that we work with are its newsletters. That's part of the silo. We could not believe that we both have. He has AM PM podcast. I have Lunch with Norm, and we get leads. We definitely get leads. People hear us. They see us at events. But
Sure. Hard
what
to
blew
quantify a lot of times, right? But just getting your brand out there, your face out there, your name out there, it certainly adds up.
Yeah. But the biggest lead gen for us both have been our newsletters. Our newsletters have a huge following. We do it we've never missed out on a week. He sends his out twice a week. He's got a much bigger following than me for his newsletter. Like he's got 25,000 people that are loyal to the newsletter. I've got anywhere from any good day, 6,000 to 7,000 loyal subscribers,
Awesome.
and they listen to you. And we have a different, like I go through and start off with a true story that's happened in my life and then relate it to business. And then we do Amazon update, Walmart update, retail updates, whatever type of updates that's fresh that week. But that builds your community. And that's 6,000 people that I wouldn't have had. Well, guess what happens with those 6,000 people? They get shuffled into a WhatsApp group or a VIP group. Now we're talking on one-to-one, or we're talking in the group of these very specific people. So you can do that with a brand. You can do that with a pet brand. I'm working with a pet brand right now that's got 600,000 emails, and they're not doing a newsletter. 600,000. I got the cat company associated with
on the
this.
table right there. Yeah.
They've got over 1 million subscribers for a cartoon that goes out with this cat every day. It's an animated cat every day. And they've done nothing with it. They've got a captivated audience that if they could get out a cat newsletter, they would kill it. But
so in that case, right? It's a pet brand. They've got the audience. What would you recommend they do with the email audience? Like what are the tricks to kind of keep people interested and engaged and make it worth their time? Because we all get so many emails. The ones, there's some that rise to the top and everyone checks them. Like I'm a subscriber to Kevin King's BDSS $1 billion newsletter, and I open it religiously, but there's so many others that I don't even open because I just get too much and don't have enough time. What are the tricks and tips that you think will make it successful?
Well, first of all, there's got to be quality. There's got to be value. There's got to be consistency. And then you've got to think about how can you take this audience and find another way to communicate with them. So one of the ways, so we take a book, or we take an episode, a podcast episode, and we punch it into a notebook LLM or LM. And then we have a conversation with it. What did you get out of this? What are the main talking points? Let's go deeper. And all of a sudden you've got this secondary email that's being created. We're doing this for another company right now that they just talk about startup and entrepreneurs. And we've taken that and we've created that into a really great newsletter. And it's just talking points with LLM or with Notebook. And it's created a podcast. We can create the video from it. We can create more blog content because we could take what type of information we get from Notebook, and we can take it and create a blog article from it. Then we could take a script and have that done for us automatically. And hey, Jen, there's so much you can do. Like I think we repurposed. I did something with amazing.com a couple of years back, and we took a couple of pieces of content and we made about over 100 pieces from the single blog article.
So all using AI, just had it?
No, not at that time. That was all manual, but now a lot of it can be done with AI. Yeah, for sure.
I read something the other day about that search engines are identifying AI generated content so they can kind of filter out that or give it a lesser weighting or score. Do you have any sense of how real that is and what you could do to get around that?
Well, I go back and forth on this, but in my community, and I hang around with a lot of AI engineers or prompt engineers, and they're saying, it's irrelevant. And then some say, no, it's definitely relevant. What we have to do is make sure that some of it is humanized. So go back, and for me, I have a content marketing company. Just a sec, I'm going to cough again. And when we used to have 20 writers, and now we're down to an editor, sometimes a part-time editor, and all they're doing is going through and changing around a little bit of the article, adding in the formatting of it. So we could get this all 100% done AI, where we get snippet up top, table of contents, the body, where the video goes, because it's always up top, the lists, the bullets, and then just the proper H1, H2, H3 headers. And we could easily format that. But what we do is we take some of it and get it formatted, but a lot of it's done with an individual. So it's still taking us a little bit of time and rewrites. So we've noticed still, even though there's some really good humanized prompts, that it still gets picked up, and they still got the terms, but you can get all those filler terms when you write a prompt, especially now with the memory. You can get rid of, the "I got your backs" and stuff like that. We always had filters on, but so it starts to sound more human, and especially for emails. So we do a lot of email campaigns for any of our webinars or anything that we're doing, and we're using AI to generate really incredible, engaging emails that give us crazy open rates.
I've numerous times had it, say, okay, write up a newsletter announcing an upcoming webinar, and tell it what the content's going to be, and not even had to make a single change to it because it's so well done. It's definitely been a game changer to have all of these tools at our disposal to be able to do things so much more efficiently. But the key is in the detail, right? You got to be prompting with the right detail and making sure that it's executing on what you want to get across. But even if it gets you 80% there, it's a huge time savings.
Absolutely. 80% is 80%. If you just have to inject 20% of, manual hours, then it's well worth it. And I even think it's higher than that, but we won't really know. According to everybody that I hang out with, it's changing daily. So, what's Google going to do? It needs relevant content. It wants to have experience. It wants to have expertise. It wants to have authority. I mean, if you are relevant, then you're going to constantly be out there. But if you're taking all this information on a topic that's already out there and it's just rewording it in AI and it's picking up on that, then there's no originality. So it wants original content.
I think it'll be a while till they really put enforcements in place. And when they do, I think to your point, it's not because they don't want original content. It's the fact that they don't want manipulation. They don't want, people to start selling, I could make your listing show up at the top by generating all this content and have it falsely influence the brands and the people that are, authoritative on the subject for someone that's just tech savvy.
Right.
And I think over time they'll get better at, filtering that out. But I think that's going to be, a little ways down the road. So for now, it's a huge win to take advantage of it. And, over time we'll learn, what adaptations need to be made. Right.
Like, it would be a huge win, Steve. You checking out my email or my newsletter. Come on, you gave Kevin a plug. You didn't give me a plug.
There you go. So tell everyone about your newsletter.
Okay. Well, I think it's pretty good. A matter of fact, I do have to give Kevin a thumbs up. I got to give him a shout out because while he was learning about these newsletters, he does jump in with 2 feet. And we're talking about a few different things. And he's saying, look, I think this is something that we can, or he could start to generate more interest. And I'm going, yeah, it's newsletters. Well, he got into it, and more he showed me. I got interested, and we had a newsletter, and I told my son, "Hey, Kels, check it out. Check out with Kevin what he's doing to see, if really is substance." And Kevin hit it out of the park,
Mhm.
and it was completely different. It was total value. Even the whole sign up sequence, he did it right. So Kelsey learned from him, and we turned around our newsletter, and we're getting new subscribers every day. It's called Lunch with Norm. That's it. But the address to sign up is LWN, like Lunch with Norm, LWN.news. And it comes out every Monday. It has a ton of value. So one thing, in Kevin's newsletter, it's always value. So the
Mhm.
beauty of the two newsletters is ours comes out with usually a completely different group of values that Kevin might not pick up on,
Mhm.
or we might cover them exactly the same things, but you'll never see the exact same newsletter. So he's
Yeah.
always covering something different. We're also giving out lists like um, uh, top books or top AI tools. But what's really cool is that we go through and we take Marketing Misfits, which is Kevin and I have this other podcast, which is non-Amazon. You won't find anything to do with Amazon on it. And we will give the highlights of what that is, and then click you over to the channel. And
Yeah.
that
Awesome.
that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a great tie-in between, just like we talked about value earlier. You know the customer base, and you know what value you can provide, and that value comes in multiple ways, right? So now you're basically just tying the pieces together and giving it to them in the way that they want to absorb it,
Hmm.
which I love. I'll be honest. When I first talked to Kevin about his newsletter, he was just getting it off the ground, and I was a little surprised that it could be a thing, to be honest, because
Yeah.
I get so many emails that I just don't have time to look at anymore. I feel like I kind of felt like emails were a dying thing, but it seems like if you do it right and people know that it's differentiated and worth their read, then it actually can be the one thing that people are paying attention to, and even though they're filtering out everything else. So you just have to give them that value, and the reality is we're in email all day long. I'm in email right now. I mean,
Yeah.
it's something that it's an easy way to absorb content when you're not doing other things like intentionally trying to seek it out on LinkedIn or blogs or whatever. It's kind of just being served to you. So it's ultra convenient.
Yeah, and there is a trick, and it has nothing to do with your content or the value, but it's your email deliverability. And if you would have told me this, 3 or 4 years ago, I've learned, but the last 6 months has been a real crash course. And
Mhm.
having the proper setup done, hiring and getting somebody that is a true expert and delivering into the inbox. And there's a few new things that have just happened that are going to make it a little bit more tricky, but to have all your settings set up properly, and that could be your DMARC, your DKIM, your SPK, all of this stuff that I'm not an expert in. But
Mhm.
once we started to hire the right consultant and to get it done properly, all of a sudden we're in the inbox. And you don't want to be in the promotions. You don't want to be in spam. You want to
Yeah.
be in the inbox. And that's a whole art in itself. So sometimes you got to pay to, you got to pay the experts to do their thing so
Mhm.
you can do your job.
Yeah. And, on Amazon, we tell people drive relevant traffic because it's all about conversions. If you're sending a whole bunch of traffic that's not highly relevant and you have low conversions, you're building up negative metrics. I imagine, and I'm not an email expert like you, I imagine that you need to keep that audience to a point that you have high deliverable rates so that you basically can continue to be successful. If you start adding a ton of emails that you don't get good clicks and open rates and everything else, I imagine over time the deliverability goes down. Would you
Yeah.
would you agree?
we've separated our emails. So we have one that goes out for newsletters. We have ones that go out for our webinars. So we've just got this new domain and you got to warm it up. So the first time you send out something, you'll get terrible. So we just kind of send it up to a dead list and just try to warm it up a bit. And then there's different apps out there that can help you do this. But at first, I just let an expert take the domain, separate it. This is just, write this down, is that you never send anything from your primary account ever. Because if you go on to a blacklist, most people are either on a HostGator or a Bluehost, which are shared servers 99% of the time. And if somebody on that server that you're sharing with has a porn site, something that it doesn't like, you go onto a blacklist and you don't even know why nobody is responding, but it's your list, that black list that you've got on that server. So there are apps out there that find out if you're blacklisted. And that's one of the reasons why I'm saying, look, keep the two separate. Go to an email client or an email server and use that for your outgoing email. Don't use the same domain and keep it clean.
I made the mistake once of sending an email to just about 50 guys trying to get an event together or something. And because it didn't have an unsubscribe button, it had some problems with deliverability after that. I learned my lesson.
Yeah.
Never, ever do that. I know we talked about a lot of things. One thing that maybe you can add some additional insight into is, what type of influencers would you go after in the case of, let's say, one of the pet brands you mentioned, or that the knife company or whatever? Because not all influencers are equal. How do you decipher what are the right type of influencers to go after? How broad do you suggest doing that? And any special tactics to make that successful?
Yeah, and I don't want to scare anybody with these stats, but this is, if you listen to Rankster Paul Harvey, if you listen to Gracie Ryback or my son, they'll tell you this. Anybody who's got these platforms, Levanta, Wayward, Fruitfluence, they're going to come back and say it's going to take a little bit of work. All these platform, like Leo Scovio, who showcased Spliced at Iceland, he's trying to make it easy for people to get an automated email to go out to people and to pick your influencer, the level. There's 5 levels of influencer: micro, nano, micro, macro, something there, and then celebrity. But most people are good with nano, which are under 10,000 users, depending on the platform, or micro influencers, which are under 100,000. And those are the people that most brands are looking for. But before you do anything, if you've got an email list and you've got customers that you know are repeat buyers, that's the best way to start. You can get people to post for you, or you can get people to provide you with user-generated content that you can use on your social media. Ask first. But if you don't have that mailing list, or you don't have that amount of people that could really become brand ambassadors, then you got to start checking out a more automated system. You can do it one by one. You can go in, you could do a hashtag for your like pets or dogs or dog beds or whatever, dog lovers. You can go into Google and you can find an article from Purina about bully sticks. And then you could do what's the string? It's similar. So if you want to, you could use that syntax or the string, and then just put https:// and I think it's similar. I think that's what it is. Then it pulls up all these other influencers that are out there that you can approach. But just go into any platform, check out who are the main influencers, check who's following those influencers, and you can start sending messages. The typical ones are that you've been following. So you can send them a DM that you've been following, you like their content. You give them a little stroke of the ego, and then you start to build a relationship. Then you reach out and see if they could do something on your behalf with your product. So that's how most people do it. Here's the thing that you're not going to want to hear. A lot of people send out 100 to 150 emails a month. And what do they get back? 10%. So 10% will respond. And then what do they get back from that? 10% usable content. Now, that usable content over a period of a year gives you some really rock solid, high end providers that are going to put it out over your network, and you're going to get the rights. You're going to ask for the rights to put it on your other social media, and that's going to help out. So that is probably the standard manual way. Now, some of these other places are going to show you automated systems that already have templates made up that you can send, and you can do it a lot quicker. And so that's what Levanta is a little bit different. Levanta is an affiliate program. So you're going to go out there, or Fruitfluence, made more for influencers, but you're going to go to Levanta, and you're going to use their system to find affiliate people to affiliates to push your product.
Yeah.
Now, affiliates are different from influencers. Affiliates just have a network that they can promote your product, usually with a link or something tying it back to the product. And a lot of Amazon sellers fail because they don't give enough. So a lot of people say, oh, I'll just give them that 10% referral program feedback. 10% is not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not enough. If you're going to launch, I would give them whatever it is up to your break even almost. Like if you can give 30 points, great. But where you'll start to move the needle is at 15 points. That's where you're going to start to move the needle.
I think a lot of that depends on the brand, right? If you're Nike, you don't need to give away as much. But if you're a no-name brand trying to get someone to intentionally spend their effort to drive traffic to you, you've either got to have something special they're excited about, they want to talk about, and they're happy with a smaller commission, or you got to incentivize them more than your competitors, right?
Exactly. And we're not brands. We're not brands. Mm-hmm. The high majority of us on Amazon are micro brands. People don't know our name. We're not part of their household vocabulary. We're not a Nike. We're our own brand. Like this is crazy, the way that we've been able to evolve with very little money, putting something onto a product, a Me Too product, which I don't really recommend, but even going out and creating this really cool, new, innovative product, we're doing it for nothing. Where before, like as a teenager or 20 or 30, year old, I'd have to spend $250,000 to get started.
Yeah.
Just to get started.
Mm-hmm. No, it's changed the game a lot. And to your point about brands not being household names, but yet some of them can be very successful. Like we've helped clients that are doing $25-50 million a year on Amazon with no recognizable brand in most households, right? Unless you're specifically looking for that niche and you start, seeing that it's a reputable brand and it's one you want to engage, especially if it's a product you don't buy with frequency. You are not a brand that they're going to want to throw out as an affiliate to everyone in their audience because everyone knows it. It has to be very targeted.
So
and incentivized.
Pattern is the number one seller on Amazon. Name one brand.
That's a great point. Yeah, they're focusing on good businesses that they can scale, and a lot of those brands are founded on Amazon. They started on Amazon and became successful. And Anchor's a perfect example of that, right?
Yeah.
They started on Amazon, and now you can find them in Best Buy and Home Depot and Walmart and everywhere else. And I think that's kind of the new way of doing things. Almost, you don't have to convince a retail store to put you in 10% of their stores or 50 store test or something. You can basically gain acceleration on Amazon, start broadening it more, and as that brand becomes more dominant, most of the retailers are going to want to, you're going to want to play game.
And they realize that too. Retailers, you're starting to see more and more micro brands. Like look at Walmart. When you get on the Walmart marketplace,
Mm-hmm.
you've got an opportunity, if you convert, that they're going to notice that, and you're going to get invited to pitch. Now, I don't know where that goes, but all of a sudden you're in a huge retailer nationwide, and
Yeah.
go down, sit in Amazon's or sit in Walmart's aisle and see what's starting to fill their aisles. They're known for brands, right? They're known for,
Mm-hmm. Procter and Gamble and
marquees.
stuff like that, right?
Yeah. But
Yeah.
all of a sudden you start seeing these other brands that are starting to sneak up, and they're all due to invitation because they've been on the Walmart marketplace.
Yeah. No, it's true. Actually, we're official Walmart agency partners, and the beauty of the way that Walmart has their business structured is that you are now getting visibility to their retail store buying teams when
Yep.
your product becomes successful in Walmart. It's a great lead source for them because they don't have to have people come to their corporate office and pitch them. They can see immediately what's gravitating to their customer base online, and the small brands have a chance in a big retailer these days, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, how about awareness beyond what we mentioned? Do you ever do PR or other ways of trying to just get it like into articles and stuff like that?
Yeah, 100%. So gift guides, definitely something that every Amazon brand should try to do. You want to get into all these different gift guides. A lot of them are free. Remember, we were doing a pillow for a company, and every quarter we would see $100,000 spike up in a week, and we're going, what the heck is going on? We found out it was Wirecutter. Out of the blue, Wirecutter gave us the number one pillow, and
Wow,
we would
nice.
be getting all these sales. So now Wirecutter, I believe they do charge in most categories, but there's a lot. If you can think of the niche,
And they're part
just
of Creator Connections, by the way.
what's that?
They're part of Amazon's Creator Connections too.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They just picked up one of our clients using Creator Connections. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, there you go. So that is an area that they can pick up clients there, but you can go to any niche, any pet niche, any baby niche, and you could see that they'll have a section for gift guides. All you have to do is submit, and a lot of the times you'll be able to get in absolutely free. Others
Mhm.
you have to choose, and that's usually depending on the visibility. Other ways of getting the word out there is you could do guest blogging, and guest blogging will get you some backlinks back over to your Amazon listing, or press releases. So I have a special way of using press releases. So I'll create a blog article in a very specific way, which I kind of talk to you about with the snippet, the table of
Mhm.
contents, the
Mhm.
headers, the body, the video, and I make it about 1,500 words long, and I keep it where I could put every quarter or so an extra paragraph in. So based on that, I'm just going to give you an example that I use all the time. And this is about bully sticks and elderly dogs. So you could say five reasons why bully sticks are beneficial to elderly dogs, something like that. Just a bit of a clickbaity, a hook to it. Okay,
Mhm.
I got an elderly dog. I got to check this out. You publish that, and you go through. You publish it on your website, then you can go through a content or a syndication company, and they'll blast it out. Now you get a little bit of exposure, and that'll automatically link back to your Google business profile, by the way. And then about a week later, a few days later, you can write a press release. Now, the press release, all the power is in that title. So you want to take the keywords and you want to put most of them or some of them, the main keywords up front. So it could be grass-fed, uh, odorless bully sticks made in the USA, or maybe not.
Mhm.
Research finds beneficial to elderly dogs. And then if you want, this is a cool point. If you want to keep it local, so if you're finding that in a county in Florida where there's 350 people or less, all you have to do is in Delray Beach or in wherever, and
Mm.
it will come number one overnight in tons of Google searches. So I'll give you an example. That I did this for Kevin with Helium 10 Elite. We did one for bully sticks, and I did a press release. And the next day was the interview, and I said, here we are. And I pulled up the whole first page of Google was me. The whole second page, except for 2 listings, was my keyword. And I was running content on these keywords since 2016. So content went right back. But what was really amazing is I said, look, these are the keywords. Now, this could be stupid. You can't make sense of this, but all these different combinations on the title, there was 300 or 400 of these already ranked number one, whatever combination it is. 100 and 100, 170 were on page one. Okay. 131 were number one, including um, Bully Sticks launched Amazon. There was a ton,
Wow.
and just couldn't believe it. And so that, because it's more of a general or a local SEO, that wasn't up there that long, but you could run these national PR campaigns that give you a ton of links. But
Mhm.
there are no follow links, and a lot of people argue, well, that's no good. Well, no, you don't know what you're talking about. They show that there's co-citations. It shows that something's happening, that there's been some activity, and that's still relevant in the SEO world and for the Amazon world. So
You bring up a good point of, I mean, first off, I love all this. You're throwing out so many hacks and nuggets. It's amazing. I wonder if you could use this to help Amazon gain traction in category in markets where they're not stocking inventory right now. Like basically drive demand essentially in a local market that is underexposed today because Amazon hasn't spread your inventory around. I know that geo ranking is a thing. It's hard to figure out,
yeah,
but if you know that there are certain markets that need kind of a boost, this might be a way to do it.
absolutely. And to give it even a stronger boost with more do follow links is because the two are very associated, newsworthy and blog content,
Mm-hmm.
you link it. So now you've got the content that's gone out through a syndicated network and it's on your website. And all of those are now linked to that press release that you've just sent out. And so now you've got a link, and now you're going to get more exposure. People are going to go over to your blog post, start reading that. And even with your blog post, I just want to say this: a lot of mistakes are made on blog posts. They don't sell the product. I don't recommend selling the product, but I do recommend a CTR or CTR, a call to
Call to
action.
action.
Yeah, at the end. So it can be very subtle. So if you're a
Mm-hmm.
soap company and you're talking about the benefits of lavender, you can say, if you want to enjoy a more relaxed feeling, blah, 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 check out our Lavender Lust at XYZ, and the link's right there, clicks
Mm.
over to it, or it could be a pop-up over to that. And now you've got that, you've got a link. You always link somewhere over to your product page because you want an internal link. So there's a lot going on between blogs, press releases, and kind of getting them to work together. And on your press release, just to give you a little bit of information, that title is important. There are guidelines, and I can provide the guidelines if you want, but I always recommend getting a press release, not a blog writer, a press release writer to produce this. You can do this in ChatGPT, but you want to make sure that ChatGPT understands all the guidelines. So you can search to get the guidelines and just upload it and say, please follow this. But you want to add certain things. You want to add the company logo, the company name, the company contact information. I've written thousands and thousands of press releases for people, probably 5 to 10,000, and
Oh.
we often found that people don't want to provide a contact name or a contact number. And we come back and we say, well, what the hell are you doing? Why don't you? How do people get a hold of you? So
Yeah.
you give
Well,
them as
isn't that the
much,
point?
you give them as much contact as you want. And
Yeah.
then you give them all your social media, your YouTube channel. You
Mm.
do a YouTube video about that press release or the blog. And now you can have that linked over there. And
Mm.
if there's any papers or anything else, all of this is so relevant. And all of this goes back to your Google knowledge graph. It'll all be linked. So
Awesome.
just to kind of keep that in mind.
Very cool. I got one last question, and
Uh-oh.
and I'll let you go. You've got a lot of email expertise. We have a lot of clients that are big brands.
Yep.
They have huge email distribution lists, but they only want to use it for their own e-commerce website. And same thing with influencers and affiliates. They want to drive all the traffic to Amazon, I mean, to their e-commerce website, and don't have necessarily the vision of the benefit of driving some customers using Amazon affiliates and using a brand referral bonus, perhaps, to Amazon to get that external traffic boost that algorithmically helps them and has much higher conversion rates than they're probably going to get on their e-commerce website. How do you justify when that makes sense, and what do you do about when you face those situations?
Well, if they've got that big of a list and they're not using it on a regular basis, they're going to miss out big time. I remember I've been at a couple of events when Sean Hart's been speaking, and he said that you can increase your revenue on average 44% by putting out regular emails. And so I thought, oh, that's pretty good. Most people will miss out on that. But how do you use that? Well, you've got those 600,000, let's say 100,000 names, and you're afraid to annoy people. Well, those people are going to click out. You want to get the people that don't want to receive those emails out right away. But there's different ways that you can do it. If you're a nutritional company, you could put out a fact a day, either through SMS or your text messages or through your email. You could put a newsletter together where everybody now is getting great information about your product without even putting the product in the newsletter. Just that they have your logo in front of their face once a week. You can drive traffic over from your Amazon product over to and to get more emails by putting items that are not available on Amazon on your website. And if they want it, they can get a sample of it or they can buy it from your website. Now you're getting all of their information. So those are a few things, but I would keep the emails. Do not do promotional. My buddy always says you got to get engaged before you get married, and it's so true. You have to just give value, and then you can sneak in the 1-2 punch, and maybe there is something, maybe there is an affiliate. maybe you offer the affiliate to be in the newsletter. So you're kind of pushing that affiliate, and they come out with some really cool content. There's a variety of ways that you can partner.
Yeah.
But those are just a few things.
Yeah. One thing that I like to watch closely is Anchor. And one thing that I've noticed is when they first launched their website, they linked everything to Amazon. Then
Yep.
over time, they had both a buy on Amazon and an add to cart button on their website.
Yep. Yep.
And nowadays, they strategically, when they're launching a new product, will give exposure to Amazon using a buy on Amazon link on the product detail page. And like very recently, they sent me an email um, specifically advertising a promotion. I think it was during the big spring sale event on Amazon, and they had both options: buy on
Yeah.
Anchor, buy on Amazon. And to me, I like the strategic thinking aspect of when it makes sense, drive traffic to Amazon to boost external ranking. When it doesn't make sense, take advantage of more profitability and getting all the information on your website. But sometimes giving the customer a choice of both can really, help build customer trust.
Right.
You're just laying it out there and letting them choose.
Yeah, absolutely. And this whole multi-channel, omni-channel seems to be encompasses everything. Multi-channel just says, hey, pick and choose. So maybe they're picking independent retailers where they don't have the cash flow to float a big national purchase from Costco, but they do have enough to go and start calling these 300,000 different independents. The pet store that's in my little town. I've got a town of about 9,000 people. Well, guess what? We have an independent. We have a couple of salons here. We have a pet store. Well, those people will buy a case at a time, 2 cases at a time, whatever your minimum is, and they'll pay with a credit card. So you hire somebody to start tagging those people, and all of a sudden you got some cash flow coming in, and you're going to have regular customers coming back to you when you've got your Amazon, you've got your Shopify store, you might be on Walmart, but now you got these independent retailers that are looking for some attention too.
Yeah.
That's another way to just juggle cash flow. I mean, cash flow is everything right now.
Especially right now. Yeah. And I think this is teaching a lot of people when they don't have good cash flow, they need to get on the game and make sure they improve their cash flow, because you never know when tariffs and other things are going to hit them hard.
Yep.
Business is tough enough as it is, but when you're really pinching pennies on cash flow,
perceived value, jump your price up.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Norm. This has been phenomenal. You've thrown out some awesome hacks, some great nuggets. Tell the audience how they can reach you and, some different channels they can just stay connected with you.
Sure. So I have a podcast every Monday live. It's called Lunch with Norm. It's pretty much everywhere. Facebook, LinkedIn. We got another channel. I don't know where else. YouTube. But the edited version with some really cool intros comes out the following Monday. It's all on YouTube. We have a YouTube Shorts channel that just launched. We have a subreddit group. You could probably much find me anywhere, but I'm really proud of our newsletter. It's at lwn.news. So lwn.news. You can reach me at norm@amz, like Amazon, norm@amz.club. But one of the big projects that I've got going right now is Kevin King and I have a podcast that we're really proud of called Marketing Misfits. And we have a new company that it's too long to explain right now, but it's called Dragonfish. That's about it.
I'm excited to hear all the things that will be coming on Dragonfish soon.
I'm excited
in our conversation earlier today, and it sounds like a lot of exciting things happening.
Yeah, well, Kevin's pretty creative.
Yeah, you guys are both marketing geniuses. So
thanks.
It's good to see you guys partnering on so many things, because and I tell the audience, if you see those guys partnering on something, it's going to be some sort of special outcome. So definitely stay following them closely.
Well, that's good to hear. Thank you.
Yeah. So thanks so much, Norm. It's been great. And for the audience, thank you for joining us today. As I mentioned in the beginning, my name is Steve Yates. I'm the CEO of Prime Guidance, and you can feel free to reach out to us as well at primeguidance.com. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody.